Do you believe successful lives have passion and mission? Have you ever envisioned making a significant impact through your work, a contribution you deeply believe in, and you may regret for not starting it ever? If you have sensed the hidden magic power within you, longing to break free, then join me, Pranali, your host, on the Passionate Pearls podcast, where I unfold the stories of real heroes and open on how these people made crucial choices to pursue their calling. I'm sure this podcast will help you unlock your hidden magic powers and ignite the fire that's there within you to walk on a passionate journey that you always wanted to take. Are you ready to amplify your voice and grow your business or a personal brand? Imagine reaching thousands of listeners sharing your passion and making an impact all through your very own podcast. Join our upcoming workshop, Podcasting 101, designed just for you. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just passionate about sharing your own story, we will equip you with all the tools that you need to start your podcasting journey. Don't miss out. Visit passionatepearls.com/workshops and do secure your spot today. That's passionatepearls.com/workshops. Let's make your voice heard. Today we have a guest who has shown through her work everything is possible, provided you are up for serving the higher cause. She truly believes that if you want to do something from heart, then the whole universe conspires you to have it done. She changed all bad stories to good living examples and on a way to serve more. She takes whole village to bring change, and she's a leader who first does it and asks to join, not to follow. Her journey of perseverance, struggle, and how she managed to bridge the gap between remote villages to have essential healthcare services is astounding. She is an obstetrician and a lactation consultant who embarked on a unique journey early in her career to provide healthcare in unheard rural parts. She has saved and changed many lives and brought in right practices in areas where there were none. She lightened lamp by all means and till date serving many others indigent despite being a brain tumor warrior. She is absolutely phenomenal, living saint, fighter, and an empathetic doctor. Let's meet Dr. Taru Jindal on our show today. Namaste, Taruji.
Namaste, namaste. What a brilliant introduction.
Thank you for giving us so much time from your whole busy sessions right now. I think you are way more occupied being at home as well. Uh,
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky because a lot of friends like you trust and my work and my thoughts. Yeah, it's only because of the company I keep.
so, on that note, you started your breastfeeding sessions, especially for the mothers to be and the moms who are breastfeeding. So, what is it all about? How they are different, and what's the need for it?
So I'll start with a small story. I was in final year of MD. I was doing it in gynecology and I was just going to pass out in the next few months. So 10 years of medical education completed and I was just looking forward to starting to work in the field. There was one mother who I remember, she was pregnant and she was registered with our gynecology unit and she was going to deliver preterm. And we had as a unit come together and really tried very hard that she does not. And then she did finally deliver, complete all her 9 months, and the baby came out healthy, and we all were triumphant. We felt like we had done our. What happened was 2 days later, I went to take her rounds in the wards, and then I asked her everything from our stitches okay, is the pain okay, this is okay, that is okay. She said, doctor, everything is okay, but I'm not able to breastfeed. Can you help me? And at that time, I said, oh, you can't breastfeed. Okay. So whatever little I knew about it, I told her. And I even at that point, I kept thinking ki I am not helping her because I was not able to get the baby to latch and breastfeed in front of me. Somehow I just did not have those skills. I just kept giving her some lectures that don't give formula milk, don't give cow milk. You have to give only breast milk. But finally, I was not able to help the baby feed. I
Right.
moved on to either the pediatrician will come or the nurse will help her. The next day, I came to know that the baby convulsed the previous night because of low sugar. Felt devastated. I immediately ran up to the ICU, and these ICUs of babies have these glass walls, right? So through that, I was looking at that incubator with that baby, and the
mm,
mother was standing there next to the baby, and I was looking at them from beyond the glass walls, and I almost slumped in my chair with the feeling of failure, that I am about to finish more than 10 years of medical education, and I don't know how to support a mother in breastfeeding. I just know some theories, what are the different positions, what is the advantage of breastfeeding, but my skills of how to get a baby to breastfeed are not adequate. So I started looking around and started speaking to a few people that what can I do, what can I do. Then I learned about a beautiful phenomenon called as breast crawl. And breast crawl,
mm,
I don't know how many people have heard of it, but I had not heard of it even by
mm,
the time I was ending my MD.
mm,
So, breast crawl means immediately after delivery, like the calf or of the cow or newborns of all animals in jungles, our
mm,
baby, if they are put on the abdomen of the mother and allowed to be there, just in some silence in the delivery room and some little bit of darkness, then the baby's reflexes kick in, and the baby actually crawls on the mother's abdomen and reaches one of the breasts and starts to drink on its own. And I was like, how is that even possible? The very next day, I went to the labor room, and the very first baby that came out, I
mm,
snatched it from the nurse and I said, I'm not going to give you the baby. So I put the baby on the abdomen, and
mm,
within 15 to 20 minutes, the
mm.
baby had lifted up the buttocks, was pulling itself, and had gone and latched on the breast. And
Wow.
I was in tears, the mother was in tears, and
Mm,
the other women in the labor room were in tears. Such a moving experience for me. And I saw what kind of latch the baby had taken. It was
mm,
perfect. I had just not touched the baby at all. I was just guarding that the baby should not fall. 1 or 2 days later, I followed up the mother in the ward and saw first time mother was breastfeeding as if it's her third child. The
wow.
contractions were so much, the complications were so less, which usually happen in the first few days.
Right.
And like a maniac, I did 100 breast crawls in the next 2 weeks because
Awesome.
I was like awake 24/7 just doing breast crawls in my delivery room. So, yeah, that's how my journey in breastfeeding started. And then slowly, I came to know that breastfeeding these days is a very is a sphere that's really affected in India, because India is traditionally known as a breastfeeding country, right? The number of children who get breastfed exclusively in the first 6 months is it's
Mm,
just 4%. So what is happening to half the children who are not getting breastfed properly? I couldn't believe it when I saw the statistics. That's when I started working on this extensively. I realized a lot of things have changed in India in the last few decades. Women have started to work a lot more. Formula companies have come in with a bang, and the joint families have broken into nuclear families. So somehow the breastfeeding skills or the normalcy of breastfeeding has taken a backseat. So
mm,
now what I do is I got trained in IBCLC. I gave that exam from the US, and now I work as a lactation consultant. I do work
mm,
on three spheres. I take personal consultations with women, of course, who have problems and try to help them. But a
mm,
bigger part of my work is advocacy. So I try to work on busting the myths on social media. I have my own blog on Facebook called Breastfeeding Matters. We have helped more than 400 Indian women from across the globe in the last 2.5 years.
mm.
And
And
I just last point I wanted to say was that the greatest push for this came from WABA. So WABA is World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action. It is the
mm,
greatest organization in the world working in the field of breastfeeding. So
mm,
they invited me as a youth leader from India in
awesome.
2016, and
Oh,
subsequently they were the ones who trained me in breastfeeding,
mm.
and till today they are the ones who support me. So thanks to them.
Awesome. I think lactation consultant itself is a term where not many countries know about it. And being gynec and being a lactation consultant, I think it goes very hand in hand and it's very useful to be because when the baby is born, that time pediatricians are not there,
Yeah.
but gynecologist is right there.
You had just said that usually pediatricians take care of breastfeeding, like everywhere in the world. But I'm a gynecologist, and when I think who should be taking care first, I think it's the gynac, because, or the obstetrician, as you say in other countries. The entire 9 months, the mother is with us. The
Right.
delivery time, the mother is with us. The first 3 to 7 days, the mother is with us. So the pediatrician does come in, but a little later. So I also take a lot of training workshops for
Hmm,
nurses and for gynecologists so that they
hmm,
are more empowered to help a breastfeeding woman, and
hmm.
they have to understand how their practices in the delivery room can impact breastfeeding. Something as small as screaming or shouting at the mother in the delivery room. So
Hmm,
such can really depress the oxytocin. Oxytocin is the main hormone that affects breastfeeding. I call it the mamta hormone, or the
this
hormone of love or emotion. So when two people are in love,
yeah.
oxytocin is just rushing through their bodies, even the male's body. So when a mother breastfeeds, that mamta hormone or oxytocin shoots up and the milk comes out. During delivery, oxytocin is the same hormone that causes labor and delivery. So
Hmm,
if we depress the oxytocin during delivery, how will it stay? How will it shoot up after delivery? So it's
hmm,
a continuum. The delivery and breastfeeding, it's part of the same process. So I think the ones who should be really empowered are the gynecologists, obstetricians, and the nurses who are working in the maternity system. Of
right.
course, mothers have to be empowered, but I think the first audience should be the doctors and the systems. So,
Hmm.
being a doctor, I'm talking to them first.
Awesome. I think it's a knowledge that nobody knew. And now I think the moms to be, they would first pick the gynacs who are aware about it.
So, I'll just share one thing with you.
Hmm,
So, there is something called as BFHI, Breastfeeding Friendly Hospital Initiative. So, they
hmm,
have come out with this initiative in which the hospital can take accreditation
hmm,
from a BFHI board, breastfeeding, that it is breastfeeding friendly and its practices are breastfeeding friendly. So the mothers who are watching this should look out that their gynecologist or obstetrician is working in such a hospital where the maternity system is breastfeeding friendly. And another concept has come, mother friendly care. So
hmm,
the labor room should also be mother friendly. So some of the components are allowing the mother to walk and ambulate, allowing a birth companion, allowing the mother the position of her choice for delivery, not giving unnecessary cuts to the mother, not doing unnecessary cesareans, immediate skin to skin contact. So this is a part of baby friendly and mother friendly hospital initiative. So this can be one of the criteria is to choose a hospital or a gynac.
yeah, I think it's a nice education that you just gave in a couple of words. Awesome. Apart from that, you also have another initiative planned, and it's very much untalked issue. People don't want to talk about it. Girls who want to get married, they are not equipped with the right science behind it. So, what is it about?
Yes. So vaginismus means inability to have penetrative sexual intercourse, right? So just like breast, we are working in gynecology, but we are not taught about it. I have never seen the word vaginismus in my textbooks, or even if it is there, we have hardly even noticed it. I don't know about other countries, but countries like Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, there is a lot of orthodox thought. And girls are brought up in a certain way. Girls are brought up with a lot of restrictions, I must say. Not everywhere. The
Hmm,
level of restrictions may be different, but there is a taboo or there is premium attached over virginity, right?
hmm,
So before marriage, sex is bad, and after marriage, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to have a baby? So
right,
how does the girl make the transition?
right.
This is what nobody thinks. Vaginismus happens because of this kind of fierce orthodoxy that she sees before marriage, and she tells her mind that sex is bad. I'm not supposed to have any relationships. I'm not even supposed to have boyfriends. I'm supposed to be pure. And after marriage, suddenly I'm supposed to have sex and have baby as soon as possible. So, because of these fierce beliefs that sex is bad, what happens is the muscles around the vagina, they
Hmm.
go into spasm or contraction. They don't always stay contracted, but during certain stimulations, for example, one friend who was actually attending her clinics during MBBS,
Hmm.
she told me that I was watching another doctor do a per vaginal examination of a mother, and I contracted my vagina
Oh.
because that 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 entire thing about the vagina is so strong in the mind that, oh god, no, then her vagina contracted. So a lot of these women also suffer from constipation, if we actually do a research on this, because they are constantly keeping that area contracted. A lot of women have also shared that they have experienced bad touch. Now, a
Hmm.
bad touch could also have various intensities. It could be something just like a bad touch in a bus, or it could even be as severe as abuse. So that leads to a rejection or a repulsion for anything sexual, and then they tend to contract their vaginas. So I personally suffered from vaginismus the first 7 years of marriage, even though I am a gynecologist and my husband is a psychiatrist. The
Hmm.
two fields that cure vaginismus. Whenever a woman comes with vaginismus, we send her to a gynecologist and we send her to a psychiatrist. And still I suffered from it for the first 7 years
Oh.
because I had my own journey before marriage, which told me sex is bad. You are a bad girl if you think about it. You are a bad girl if you talk about it. And
Hmm.
after marriage, I just couldn't do it because there was such a strong spasm. So it took me a very long time
Hmm.
to heal it, because initially there is a lot of avoidance. We don't want to go into that zone. It's very uncomfortable sometimes. And
Hmm.
second was, I realized even when I was ready to heal it and treat it, I didn't know where to go because the resources were so few. If you just Google some vaginismus resource, you'll hardly find anything. And whatever little websites I found, there is an overlap between pornography and sex, right? So every time you write something about vagina, some porn site will come up. So you do not get a reliable, good source of information of how to treat vaginismus. So
Hmm.
whatever little sites I saw were from the US or Europe, and I took help of one website. I think it was called Vaginismus Awareness Network, and
Hmm.
they actually explained everything in detail. Till then I did not even know what was happening to me, even though I was going to a variety of psychologists. I was
Hmm.
not getting the whole picture. I was not getting the step by step process. One person was telling one thing, one person was telling another thing, but I was not able to put it together, and I was
Hmm.
not able to put the flow, what should come first, what should come later.
Hmm.
Of course, later on, I found one or two very good psychologists who helped me. And I was not listening to my husband, who is a psychiatrist, because for me, he was my husband and not a psychiatrist. So I didn't take anything coming from him. So it led to a lot of issues between us. And of course, after 7 years of not treating vaginismus, the relationship is not going to be smooth. So it affects many, many things later on as well. Not just not having sex, it
Hmm.
also interferes with your relationship with your husband. It interferes with your relationship with yourself. Confidence goes down. Every time I would deliver a baby, I would be like, "Yaar, you can't even do this, Taru." This was a
Hmm.
self talk that was going on inside, that you can't even have a baby, you can't even have sex. What can you do in your life? My self esteem was just dipping down, and I
Hmm.
was becoming more and more aggressive towards my partner without realizing it. So
Hmm.
it had become a whole mushroom of things, a complicated mess.
Hmm.
So I finally was able to heal it after 7 years. thanks to some websites on internet, thanks to one or two psychologists, I mixed up everything like a
Hmm.
kitchen, and then I took it and then I did. So there was a desire to help
Hmm.
other women because I knew a lot of women are suffering in silence and they will not have the resources, just as I don't.
Hmm.
Everyone cannot get up and go to a sexologist, right?
Right.
Because sexologist, that word itself is a taboo. If you
Hmm.
go to a gynecologist may not always be very sensitive or aware about this. Even the routine doctors are not very well aware. Sexologists you can't go. Resources on website you don't have. So what
Hmm.
do they do? They just suffer in silence. So my husband and I, along with one more gynecologist, Dr. Tejashri, and two volunteers, Cha and Chetna, we decided let's form a support group. I wanted to do it, just did not have the courage. So my husband said, "Chalo, shuru karte hain." We made a support group called as Swikriti.
Hmm.
Swikriti in Sanskrit and Hindi means acceptance.
Hmm.
So, Swikriti, with that, we want to mean self acceptance and acceptance of self in all its dimensions.
Hmm.
I am a good woman and I am also a sexual woman. So,
Hmm.
sex is also a dimension to me. We have created a protocol based on my own understanding of healing and
Hmm.
based on what the textbooks say. We have created a protocol week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So, we realized that everything doesn't go so fast. So, we created everything in 4 weeks, 4-step process.
Hmm.
But fifth week now, and the good news is one woman
Hmm.
was able to consummate her marriage in the fourth week itself. And
Awesome.
they were dealing with issues of severe conflict between husband and wife. They were
Hmm.
dealing with issues of separation. They have
Hmm.
been married, I think, for 1.5 years and not able to do it.
Hmm.
And she consummated in the fourth week. And we are expecting many others to do it in the week that comes now. So we have created a therapy program, though
Hmm.
it is not a complete program because we are not offering therapy, we are not offering everything in that, but we have steps written, a written
Hmm.
protocol. Uh, with that, a lot of people are able to reach the final step.
I think it's very important for the Asian countries who have this kind of taboo in place. And most of the marriage times, when the girl is being equipped with the rest of the things, how to take care of the home, how to balance the duties, and all of the thing, I think this is also one of the very most educational areas which are not so greatly looked at it, but they should be getting addressed. If mothers or aunts, they cannot guide them very well, I think it's an important step to visit someone who can help in this area. So our the viewers, this was just an initiative that we wanted to listed you, that there is a educational help available, who are the experts in the field, and you can take a help from them, and there is no coming back down that why I'm going there. I think it is necessary. The way we take our education, if we want to learn cooking, we kind of shadow the mothers, aunts, or whoever, and we learn cooking. That's a basic example, right? So somewhere or the other we are shadowing, but this is the only area which is not so being exposed to. Not many wants to talk about it, and you're just going for the practical with guess what, sometimes you may fail, and then with that, whatever that is coming out in your mind is unhealed. And we need a support for this, and it is one of the rare initiative that we all have heard about, honestly, doctor. And I'm very glad that on this women's special show you are talking about it, spreading the awareness for it, and looking at it in a right way. That's very important to do so.
I'll just say, Pranani ji, that all of us know that we have to become mothers,
Hmm.
but none of us know how to become mothers. I mean, we don't know how to get pregnant and we don't know how to breastfeed. So that's how probably I've started working on breastfeeding and I've started working on vaginismus cure. So a lot more work is supposed to be done now, but let's hope I can work more extensively on this issue now.
Interesting. So whenever we see Dr. Taru, she's all about coming out in the picture where there is no picture at all. No problems resolved. Dr. Taru is all present here. So the unheard rural areas like in the Patna district or in the Bihar district, the areas that are just located on the map or sometimes are not on the maps, there Dr. Taru reaches is the story of her. Many of you must be knowing Dr. Taru, but who don't know her, she's the girl from all the Mumbai style, born and brought up in all the polished cities, but she went and served the unruler, unheard areas where many of us can't even think of stepping for travel. And that's where her story began. And after completing the education itself, she took a leap there and started her work. It's a very interesting word to hear, but being there and doing so is not so easy, or you cannot even tolerate. When I was hearing her TEDx talk, I was literally shaken, sit back and was thinking, pausing, was not even ready to hear the next part of it. I would still request you to repeat the story again for the viewers so that they get a brief idea about what you did. It's not for yourself but for us to know what all can be done and what are the areas needs to be served.
Yeah. The story of my work in Bihar between 2014 and 16, I think it is one such story that I think I will remember even during the last moments of my life. That's it's one such work
Mm,
or one such memory. Most of the time, when we finish our school, our college, and education, what is usually told to us? Get settled first, get married, have children, have a bank balance, have a car, have a bungalow, or have at least a flat, then you can think of social service after all of this is done. So by that time, it's usually what we are 55, 50 or 55, when many of us would have probably developed arthritis, not just but also in our minds, right?
mm,
You is special because young people have certain qualities which no other age group can have, which is incredible intensity,
mm,
incredible passion, and incredible force and energy to lock horns with the opponents. The
mm,
energy is so much, sometimes they just go overboard also. So this is the time for social change. So we
mm,
had a movie called as Rang De Basanti, if anyone had seen, from Bollywood in India. So it was about a group of 7, 8 youngsters who I think expose a politician and
mm,
a corrupt politician. A very good movie. But of course, they all died at the end. So my story is this, that I finished my MD in gynecology in 2013, and I met my husband, Dr. Dharav Shah, on second day of MBBS in
mm,
2001. So he had come to my class. He was my senior, and he had come to my class to give introduction about a student organization called as Prachiti. So
mm,
Prachiti Marathi in Sanskrit means self-realization. So
mm,
this was a student group that was meant to expose young medical students to their social aspect, to the
mm,
aspect beyond the hospitals. So they used to take these trips to various doctors in the state of Maharashtra, like Dr. Abhay Bang or Dr. Prakash Amte or Baba
mm,
Anandwan, who have gone beyond their clinic and their hospital and done something for the community as doctors and as social workers. So I had got into MBBS with the thought of doing something good, but I had never thought that working for rural areas is what I would be doing. And because of that organization and the exposure that I had during those 4 5 years of MBBS, when what is your age? So we enter MBBS when we are what, 17,
mm,
and pass out when we are 24 or 25, right? So that's
mm,
the critical time for in the growth of a person, because that is the time when the childhood is gone. He's a little mature, at the same time not fully mature, but thinking and observing everything. So at that time, when I visited Dr. Abhay Bang's clinic and a hospital in a remote tribal area in Gadchiroli, or
mm,
when I went to a forest area called Melghat at the border of Maharashtra,
mm,
where child death rate is the maximum in the state. So I went there and lived there in the monsoons for 2 weeks through an NGO with no
mm,
tap water, no electricity, and inside a jungle with snakes and leopards outside. Of course, not just outside our base camp. So that's when I realized this is when this is this decade. I went in 2008 or 2009. So that's when I realized my world was just Bombay. I'm born and brought up in Bombay. I had never thought of the world beyond Bombay. And that's when I realized this is my country. This is my country too.
mm,
And how is it fair that these people are untouched and left unaddressed? How is it that they have to walk for 4 hours to reach a peripheral health center when I can just take a bus or a rickshaw and reach the nearest dispensary in 10 minutes?
mm,
Where did they go wrong and what did I do right for this? No, nothing. It's just maldistribution of healthcare, and somewhere it did not feel right. So the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I talked to those people, the more and more I read about it in various biographies or autobiographies of great people. I
mm,
was also highly inspired by Gandhi ji and his concept of work, go to the villages, live with them, learn from them, work for
mm,
them. So that's when I realized that life may, whatever I do,
mm,
whatever I, it will be to serve the underserved or to work in an area which is an unmet need. You just, I think, referred to it right now in the introduction to the question, but I started having a burning need to leave
mm,
Bombay. So I was just waiting to leave Bombay because I in Bombay I saw every single nook and corner with super saturated with doctors and specialists. So I always used to question, am I needed here? Or even my husband Dharav used to say, we should go where we are really needed. We should go and do what is really to be done. And immediately after my MD, I heard of a project in Bihar called, so it was by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and
mm,
they spotted that the maternal and child health care in Bihar was very poor. So the chief minister invited doctors from various parts of India to come in and teach their doctors in Bihar. So I was like, what better opportunity do I need than this to see what rural areas are like and maybe
mm,
try to do something there. Of course, Bihar has a very poor image in India because of various movies which have glorified the abduction, rape, and murder angle, which probably was true at one point of time, but not anymore because I have been there for 2 years and I felt more safe than I ever felt even traveling in Bombay, Delhi, or Madras. So, of course, there's a lot of bias at place here, and new image has not been created. So the old image is still frozen in people's mind. So I went to Bihar into a district hospital of Motihari, which is
mm,
in Champaran. So we all have read in history textbooks about Champaran. So Champaran was the state of Gandhiji's first Neel Satyagraha or the Indigo Revolution, in which
mm,
he supported the indigo farmers, which were, kept, all the indigo was taken away from them by the Britishers. So Gandhiji went to Champaran straight from South Africa in 1916, and
mm,
we reached there, like me and my small team of Care India and Doctors for U2 NGOs. We reached there in what, 2014, 2014,
mm,
almost 100 years later. And I was told that I have to train the doctors there. But the first day that I entered the district hospital, I
mm.
saw a sweeper deliver a woman with bare hands. And this was at 11 o'clock in the morning.
No
To
doctors in the hospital.
I couldn't see. There were doctors in the hospital, but not in the delivery room or in the wards, the maternity wards. The sweeper was delivering with bare hands. She was taking stitches with a simple needle and thread that we use for our buttons. She wiped that baby that came out after splitting the petticoat into two halves. She even tore the sari of the mother to get a piece of cloth. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. It felt like I was like in some movie or something, watching something very dramatic. But no,
Mm,
this was the reality. And as I spent more and more time there, I realized how defunct that system had become. Doctors were not attending their duties on time because they had private practices.
mm,
Infrastructure was totally broken down. They were delivering more than 40 women every day with just four instruments. Without any disinfection and sterilization, they were washing in plain water and delivering women with that. As for their skills, it was so poor that nurses did not even know how to check blood pressure. So I had come to train doctors, but instead, what I was watching was this. In 2 weeks, I saw so many babies dying in front of me in the delivery room because of lack of skills of the persons who were delivering and lack of equipment to revive the babies. After 2 weeks, I was like, I'm leaving this place. I cannot stay here. I cannot stand and look at this. That's when a thought came. Okay, I can leave. I can leave. Nobody's going to stop me. But had I come here for an adventure, what have I even done in these 2 weeks? I just stood there like a log and just watched all this happening. I have given a commitment of 3 months. Let me at least complete that. If that means just doing some jadu or cleaning the delivery room, I will do that, because people used to defecate and urinate just outside the labor room. And they used to throw all that delivery related waste outside the windows. If I can just clean that, I will do that. Forget about the training. This is what I thought. And I stayed. And this is what this is that quote: when you really want something to happen, universe conspires. So no sooner that I had made that decision,
Hmm.
next third day, fourth day, suddenly people from all sorts of spheres started appearing in front of me saying, we want to help you. So there was this girl, her name was Gitika. She was this young girl, just finished her MBA, came to me and said, I have been posted in this hospital to help you. I am here to help you. So a
Wow.
few nurses came in and said, you are from Bombay, we are here to learn, teach us. Then there was a hospital manager who said, I'm here to help you, tell me what to do. So we were
Hmm.
like the 4 5 people who had become a team, and we decided, before training anyone on skills, let's start talking about attitudes. We had to change their depressed attitudes and this cynical attitude. So I said, in land of Gandhi, the first thing I should do is to inspire them through something that Gandhi did. So I thought of Shramdan. So Shramdan means, Shram means hard work, and Dan means donation. So donation of one's hard work for the sake of someone else. We usually work for ourselves, right? So
Hmm.
we work for someone else. So I suggested this to the operation theater team, where people used to operate in these clothes wearing chappals. They're
Hmm.
outside slippers inside the operation theater, 12 people watching the surgery. So I said, let us first start with cleaning the operation theater. Next day is with some gloves and pulled up our jeans and some detergent in our hand. We cleaned the operation theater in 4 to 5 hours. And after that, everyone's face was glowing. Even their faces were glowing. Next morning, I saw one of them painting the rusted operation theater table with fresh white paint purchased from his own pocket. And I asked him why was he doing it, and he said, Madam, when you can come from Bombay and do this for us and sweep the floors with us, I can do this much for my hospital. That was the first time someone said my hospital. That sense of ownership that was missing had finally started to come back. And when I tried to work with their attitudes, when I hung around them the whole day trying to assist them in deliveries and surgeries, that's when they saw my intentions and opened up. And that's when the skill training started. Everything from blood pressure to baby's heart rate, everything we trained them on. And then universe conspired again. About 3 months later,
Hmm.
a new administrator, or you can call a district administrator, district magistrate, came into the district, known for his revolutionary work in other districts, and he called me for a PowerPoint presentation. And I presented to him the problems in the hospital and the possible solutions. He took a midnight round of the hospital with me that very day. At 12 a.m., we landed in the hospital unannounced, and he saw
Awesome.
the condition of the hospital. And then on, it was like revolution. He just passed orders and changed the infrastructure and everything that was pending since so many years. People started to say what had not been done in decades had happened in just under 6 months. And for me, this was the first project after MD, and I couldn't believe that things do change like this. In fact, what happened later was icing on the cake. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, in 2014 or 15, announced a Kayakalp Award. Kayakalp in English means transformation, an award of transformation. So, Motihari District Hospital, that was once considered one of the worst in the state,
Hmm.
won the Kayakalp Award in 2016, beating all the other hospitals in just under 1 year, and people could not believe it. So it won again in 2018. That's when
First
people
thing.
realized. So that told me that our
Well,
group had an average age of 30, 35. So that told me that this is the age to work for social change. You don't have to spend your whole life in rural areas, but
hmm,
you can give your 1 or 2 years there before
hmm,
you decide to get
hmm,
settled and use your core skill, whatever skill you have, teaching or medicine or whatever, whichever skill you have, you can use it to transform one issue of a rural area around you. You don't have to go to Bihar all the time. Anything around you, right? Can you transform that with all your skills? Your 1% can become 100% for that place. In fact, I say it is like a relay race. In a relay race, he ran for 100 meters, we pass the baton. He runs for 100 meters, he passed the baton. So
hmm,
he has to run the entire 400 meters on his own. So I was in Bihar from 14 to 16. I ran my lap and I had to come back because of my illness. So I have passed on the baton to others. I'm hoping now they will run their lap. So youth is the age to contribute, to give back, because we have to
hmm,
use the fire within to transform or the iron into diamond in some part of the rural areas or some unmet need around us.
hmm. The Doctor's Experiment in Bihar. That's the book that I was referring to, and I was about to come there. It's not just one, there are two parts of it, and it is also being translated in Marathi. हाँ ये मुमकिन है.
Yes.
So viewers who like to know more about this story, or what can be done and taken the message, I think she has consolidated all. It's not just a story, but it's also a living example where there is an action call, and everybody at their own level can contribute, and that's the message she wants to pass on, and she has tapped the right feeling, right moment, when is the right time to do so. Many of us overlook that aspect, that in the youth people want to enjoy, they want to travel, but traveling, what they're looking forward is for the personal gain, and she's looking forward turn that personal gain to a social gain. It's a very important message to go on. Like to know more about the consequences and challenges, everything that you faced, and still you decided to stay there firmly and continue your journey. For where were you? It is a very heartening, sometimes disheartening stories that you have gone through, because people who lived in cities really don't know what is a power outage. People who don't know, if there is no sanitary place, then how to make day work. So there are a lot of obstacles that you faced, and you still decided to be there. It's not an easy journey. For us to hear out, to read out, it feels like a drama, it feels like a movie, because we are not living that. If someone wants to live that, then what should be the key factors they should be looking forward, where they should be getting that training upon, where they should get inspired, is all we want to hear now.
Wow. So yes, when we talk about this, ki youth is for enjoyment, youth is for travel, youth is for pleasure. We don't realize if youth is for pleasure, then what is old age for? Is old age for contribution? You were asking how should a young person prepare himself or herself? I think that's why, because of early exposure to the realities, I started thinking about maybe out of 100 people, all 100 will not start working on these things. But out of 100, even 10 or 15, if they start working on it, that's still a lot, because one person can do a lot. And 10 to 15 multiply. will do so much. So I think early exposure is important. We tend to protect our children too much. No, no, no. So what will happen to the child? No, this is too early. So I think once 12th standard is over, right? After the child has crossed like 15 or 16 years or so, the child should be free to roam and see the truth of the world. It can also be truth of seeing the beauty of Himalayas, but also the truth of a place like Melghat that does not have water or electric. Let's not cheat our children. That is the first thing that I feel. Exposure is very important. Second is mentoring is very important. Sometimes if the child or the person is just exposed to the harsh realities and then gets overwhelmed, oh my God, the world is so bad. That also is not the right approach. So the person requires a good mentor who can absorb that child's question and maneuver that child's thinking in the right productive direction. So I was very lucky to have a bunch of excellent mentors who took me under their wings and
Hmm.
used to answer all my emails, all my phone calls, all my questions. Even when I was not asking, they were calling me to know
Hmm.
what was in my mind. So I
Hmm.
had a lot of excellent mentors, starting from my own brother, who was my first mentor, and then my boyfriend, Dr. Taru, who himself was a mentor for me. The third thing that we need is um, opportunities for social service. A lot of people want to do something good, but they just don't know what to do. So they just end up donating.
Hmm.
Donation is the only way they know to contribute to the world, right? Um, but from what we have seen in Bihar, we don't need money. What we need is a leader. We need a leader to go into Motihari District Hospital and inspire people there. No amount of money can do that. So,
Hmm.
young people taking up leadership in difficult areas, challenging situations is what is needed. So, opportunities are important. Everyone doesn't have to go to Bihar. Look around you. There are hundreds of good NGOs. And just looking around you, you will see your own maid servant having issues in her house, not able to pay the fees. You will see in your own colony.
Hmm.
Like I think in 11th standard, the first social cause that I started with was the cause of pigeons and the cause of dogs in my colony and trying to fight for the justice of animals.
Hmm.
So when a child starts doing that at the age of 15, that's you can, irrespective of whether he or she is successful in it, he or she should be supported because she is trying to go beyond herself and thinking about an animal today. Tomorrow, she will start thinking about the human being next to her. So at that time, she's given the right support and encouragement. These are the steps to bigger things in future. Some people ask me, how did I go to Bihar? It was a very natural decision for me because I had been doing smaller things like this since
Hmm.
7 years before that. And
Hmm.
choosing the right partner was also one of the steps. Because a
Hmm.
lot of people tell me that they had lots of dreams, but they all crashed after marriage.
Hmm.
Because to marriage, you would tend to have a circle and you cannot move beyond that circle. You have to work and you have to serve your family and you have to serve your children. Then all your dreams go away. The dreams for the male, the man, continue to stay, but for the women, they just disappear. So I decided that if I have to do something in my life, I
Hmm.
need to have a partner who has who believes in what I do. And even if it doesn't believe in it, he keeps me free. So I
Hmm.
was very lucky and in fact made the choice for that partner. So
Hmm.
it is also an important decision. And even my in-laws never interfered with what I wanted to do. So otherwise the in-laws will say, where are you going suddenly? 7 years after marriage, you're suddenly getting up and going to Bihar on your own.
Hmm.
So freedom is very important for women. Then, so after opportunities, after a good support system, what is and is stories of inspirational people. So I used to read a lot of biographies and autobiographies in my graduation years. So
Hmm.
they really helped me when I was in Bihar and I was facing extremely challenging situations, including threats to life, including people wanting to come in. I later on worked in a village called as Masari near Patna district. And because I had requested a pregnant woman to take a blood sample, the whole community had come in the evening to break our hospital because they, with that 2 milliliters of blood, we had jeopardized her life. That was the kind of understanding, that was the kind of situation they were living in. And and in spite of that, to be able to work for them the next day needed mentoring. So I did not have any person sitting with me at that time, but books came to the rescue. Books and YouTube talks of great people. So documenting journeys, successful journeys is very important. So later, as we were talking about the book, in 2016, I fell ill with a brain tumor and had some heart. So I was so distraught now. What am I going to do in life? So when I was actually going through the MRI machine, my brother was standing with me and he said, the only way to serve the world is not just to be there in the field. One way also through the pen. Document. Now you should write. Use the fire in your pen to move people. And I started writing my journey in Bihar and Nepal, the three projects that I did in those 2 years. And the result is this book, A Doctor's Experiments in Bihar. So it also got translated into this Marathi book, हाँ ये मुमकिन है. And this book is primarily targeted towards the youth, stimulate them to think what do they really want to do? Why are they here on this earth? What is happening around them? What can they do? So the story is for that. So from 2016 onwards, my main journey has been to write a book, breastfeeding, now working on vaginismus. I started webinars on it. So extremely happy that I'm doing something important and meaningful, even though I'm not in the field. I'm sitting in the four walls of my house with a laptop in front of me. But this is the greatest power. This is the power to be able to speak to an audience of the entire world is the greatest powers. But for that, you have to first work on something. Huh? Then only you can
Right. Right. That's very true. If you don't have that material to talk about, what you're going to talk about. But that's, a break that you are just discussing, that the brain tumor gave you this kind of a break where now you're addressing and motivating people in all the other way. It's really sounding me to a very a movie or a dramatic things that is going on. But when we heard the word brain tumor, for anyone. We ourselves gets weakened. And you're standing there, sitting up front, having done 12 chemos and saying that it's all good. I think that's your strength. That's where the Dr. Taru's life is all about. And that strength to tap on.
So I'll share what Dr. Abhay Bang had once said to me, and it was beautiful. He said two words, Swabhav and Swadharma. Swabhav means your own nature. So for us, what is your nature? What are you good at? So I'm not good at physics, okay? But I am good at taking care of someone's wounds. I really like doing this. So first find your own nature. That's Swabhav. And what is Swadharma? Swadharma means your duty for this generation. What is
Right.
right now? If I think of it, of the world, then I think of global warming or of extremism or terrorism. These are our larger generation duties. Okay. Said, find that spot where your swabhav meets your swadharma. So where your nature matches some need of your society. That is your work to be done. So whoever is listening, if they are young and not yet decided what they want to do, find your find your swadharma. When you start doing some experimentation in that zone, you will feel gold someday. And I clicked gold in Bihar, and that's where you are interviewing me today. Yes. So I think this is the way for young people to go on, even if they can't find some student organization in their college. The whole world is open for them.
Right. And now with this internet media, I think it's very much approachable. People are responding quickly and they're getting help. So I think now the response time has, gone very quickly. I mean, people can work towards this and see the results very promptly. It was a very big honor to me to have you and converse with you for so long in spite of your health issues. And it is enormous work that she's doing in spite of whatever physically she's going through. It is a phenomenal example for all of us. I think we just made a living saint in this world. I'm sure this is also a magical experience to all of our viewers. Hello, passionate Pulse listeners. Pradani here, your host. Are you a business owner looking to amplify your brand's reach? Or maybe you know an expert who deserves the mic? This is your moment. Advertise with us or recommend a fascinating guest for our podcast. Dial at 341-209-0102 and let's make your story roar. Passionate Pulse Podcast, where your tales ignite. Call us now at 341-209-0102. Let's champion the spirit of positive change together. Are you ready to amplify your voice and grow your business or a personal brand? Imagine reaching thousands of listeners, sharing your passion and making an impact, all through your very own podcast. Join our upcoming workshop, Podcasting 101, designed just for you. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just passionate about sharing your own story, we will equip you with all the tools that you need to start your podcasting journey. Don't miss out. Visit passionatepulse.com/workshops and do secure your spot today. That's passionatepulse.com/workshops. Let's make your voice heard.